You may hear the wind kind of rustle behind me in this video today. I apologize about that. I get kind of nervous when I have to do talking videos, especially ones that are advice related, but I hope that you guys find this helpful, and I'm kind of nervous that it's going to get a lot of backlash, but hopefully you find it helpful. So the reason why I'm making this video, and if you're wondering what it's about to be, it is 8 habits that artists need to break or just stop doing, and I felt inspired to make this by the comments that you guys have been leaving. You always ask me questions, and I love responding to everybody. But there are some questions that are just very repetitive, and so instead of just typing responses all the time, I was like, hey, let's make a video about this. Not all of these points will probably apply to you, and maybe this whole video won't apply to you, and that's totally okay. I hope, though, that this helps somebody out there who's watching, especially some of the people who've asked these questions in the comments to my videos. This is kind of a way to address some of those things. These points are things that I also need to follow. I am not the greatest artist out there, and I'm always trying to improve, so I'm kind of trying to take my own advice as well. So the first point that artists should stop doing is getting comfortable. You can't find your comfort zone and just sit there forever, because I don't think improvement will happen that way, and I don't know. I feel like when I bust out of my comfort zone and I try something new, it's usually kind of scary, but it's so fun, and I feel like there's so much that can be learned from that. The second thing that artists should stop is always doing the same thing. So this kind of falls hand in hand with the first point, but you can still break out of your comfort zone if you draw like portraits all the time. You could maybe change what medium you use, and that's breaking out of your comfort zone. But sometimes it's good to also like draw or paint different things to break out of our comfort zones, rather than just repetitively doing the same thing over and over and over. My throat just made a frog noise. Number 3. So there's this mentality that I notice on YouTube, and I'm sure it can go elsewhere too, but I see comments very often like, I'm never going to be good at art because I don't have Copic markers, or I don't have Dan Smith watercolors. All those expensive art supplies will never create your talent. Sure, they can enhance your experience by making it easier to blend or giving you more pigmented colors, but you are ultimately the carrier of all your skills and everything you learn. That's in your hands, that's in your mind, and that's on you. So I hope you don't think that having the most expensive stuff is going to make you or break you as an artist. I definitely believe that you are the reason why you are where you are. It takes practice, it takes all the skills you learned and applying them. But if you're just going to start from scratch and you're just going to buy the most expensive thing on the market, you are not going to be a pro overnight. It takes all that practice. So kudos to you for practicing, and keep it up. The expensive things will never create talent. And I don't really think like talent should be used. I think artists learn skills and they apply them. I don't know. So the fourth point is taking long breaks from art. I think we should stop that as artists, and I totally understand when we go through something tough, maybe it's hard to draw or something, but that's totally okay. I'm talking about the people who would like to make this a career. You can't really just not draw for 3 months and then question why your stuff isn't selling and stuff like that. If you want to make a career out of it, or maybe have a YouTube channel, it's really important to kind of stay on a schedule for other people who come to your channel and they're like, oh, I thought they were going to have a video this Friday. I'm really sad. And then week 2 comes around and they're like, still no video. Okay. And then week 3 comes around and they just forget to check your channel, and then you start losing your fan base. It just kind of goes like downhill a little bit. Point number 5, not being able to take constructive criticism. Constructive criticism is a very touchy subject, and I think we've all kind of been there, done that, with good experiences and bad experiences. And if you haven't had either of those on the spectrum when it comes to this, then you probably will at some point. Let's be real here. But I think it's very important to take constructive criticism. And when I say this, I mean that you should listen to what people say and then look at your artwork and decide if, okay, maybe they have a good point. Or, you know what, I'm pretty happy with how this went. We can just brush off that piece of constructive criticism. Anyway, you are ultimately the artist, so you can decide which criticism you take and don't take. Just try not to start fights out of it and get really upset. If you are a YouTuber or an aspiring YouTuber, there are trolls that kind of hide in the dungeons of the comments and they crawl out at that moment when you really don't feel like reading those comments kind of thing. It's okay. Just try not to feed the fire and just move on. It's totally okay. The next thing that artists should stop doing is deciding not to study anything whatsoever to improve. And when I say this, I mean like references, looking at how light casts down to create shadows, all of those things. If you make it all up in your mind, it can kind of lead you to a place where you get stuck. You don't have to copy a picture exactly, but sometimes even if you just look at an object and you see how the light is hitting it and look at the shadow, it kind of gives you ideas of how to shade. Maybe you just want to study people a little bit for anatomy. That kind of stuff is really helpful for moving forward and progressing your skills. The next thing that artists should stop doing is saying, I can't do this. I'm not going to do this. I can't do this. I can't get better. It's really important to believe in ourselves, and if you believe in yourself, I feel like that can take you a long way with motivation. And once you have that motivation, it kind of sets you up to just keep plowing through, you know. You'll be able to have the energy to study different references or develop certain skills, to keep practicing over and over again and not give up. If you don't believe in yourself, though, you're just kind of setting yourself up to have less motivation and less inspiration. And now I feel like a weird cliche motivational speaker because I just used both of those words in the same sentence. The last point I want to make that artists should stop doing is stop only trying to impress other people. I feel like this can get easy to get caught in sometimes, especially once you have a lot of commissions coming in and people keep asking, hey, can you draw this for me? Can you paint this for me? And then you see your time is dwindling down and down because you're doing all this art for people. Well, you still have to do art for yourself and make yourself happy, express yourself somehow. So sometimes it's nice to set aside a day like, hey, I'm going to draw what I want to draw today, and I'm going to set everything else aside. This is going to be a stress relief kind of thing, and it's going to be great. Anyway, those are just a couple points that I feel like we should stop as artists. And some of the ones I definitely struggle with is doing art for myself. I feel like I constantly have commissions piling up and whatnot, and I've decided to stop doing commissions, but I also suck at saying no, so they're still piling up. But I'm trying to get better at that so that I can do more art that's more for me, and it's just so relieving when you can do that. And another thing I struggle with is breaking out of my comfort zone. I'm really scared to draw males a lot of the times because anatomy is hard for me. I pretty much struggle with everything on this list, so I'm not a perfect artist, and yeah, none of us are. It's okay. We're in this together, and it's all good. So, if you like what you see, feel free to subscribe and join my art family. I would love to have you here, and you are totally welcome to introduce yourself in the comments. I love meeting new people on my channel. So yeah, have a wonderful day, everybody, and I will see you soon in another video. Woo!